Call meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Harshman. Mrs. Driscoll. Here. Mr. Krukenauer.
Here.
Mr. Martucci.
Here.
Mr. Detweiler.
Here.
Mr. Martre.
Here.
Mr. Renzi.
Here.
Mrs. Sangston.
Here.
Mr. Panzella.
Here. We can stand for a moment of silence for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion for the minutes of the previous meeting. Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for treasurer's report.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the general, federal fund, and CACTC bills.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the cafeteria fund bills.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I will hear from the student representatives to the Collinsville School Board, please.
Good evening. My name is Dane Pavlovich, and I'm here with some updates of the high school. Tomorrow, the student council officers and those who wish to run for next year are going to the Pennsylvania Student Leadership Conference at Ringgold High School to give them an idea of what it's like to be an officer. That is all I have for you this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will move into public comments for agenda items. First up, we have Judy Keller, piano restoration. I just need to remind everybody of 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, there's a letter at your seat. It's directed to all of you, and I will refer to parts of that, if I may, at this time. It says, "Dear directors, I had the privilege of playing the Steinway concert grand piano at Collinsville Area High School between 1984 and 1986. This piano was not just an instrument, it was a vital part of the music program, steeped in both value and history. The piano is not only a precious piece of craftsmanship, but also a symbol of the legacy of music education at our high school. It has witnessed countless performances, rehearsals, moments of inspiration that shaped the lives of many students, including myself. Many Collinsville High School students, me included, went on to become music educators in the area, enriching the local music scene for many years. I had the honor of teaching high school vocal music at Del Vernon Area High School for 32 years, where I also directed the high school Broadway musical for 27 of those 32 years. It is heartbreaking to think of this remarkable instrument being discarded. To replace such a piece of Collinsville High School history would be a disservice not only to the memories and legacies of those who played it, but also to the many future students who could benefit from it. The piano should be restored and preserved as it holds immeasurable historical value for the high school music program and the entire community. These days, it seems that we are often too quick to discard history rather than learn from it. Let us not make that mistake with the Steinway concert grand piano. It is not just an object. It is a testament to the power of music education, and it deserves to be cherished for years to come. Don't throw away a piece of Collinsville High School history. Instead, celebrate the history and restore the piano. It is signed sincerely, Michael W. Roselle, a proud graduate of the Collinsville High School Music Department in 1986, and now, since 2023, he serves as the Executive Director of the Westmoreland Symphony Orchestra. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Wanda Martray, piano.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm a 1965 graduate of Conwell High School where I was active in various music programs, and I have been a church musician for 60 years. My two granddaughters are students in the district and are involved in music programs. My 3 minutes doesn't allow me to read the opinions of several professionals who have expressed the importance of restoring our Steinway grand piano. However, Merle Stutzman, who, as you know, taught music here for many years and started our wonderful musicals that we have enjoyed for over 50 years, and he has provided a statement since he's unable to attend tonight. So I will read this statement, and I quote. My first impression upon being hired as the choral director at Conwell Senior High School. I was totally impressed with the new facility, including the choral room, the rehearsal rooms, the new upright pianos, a stage complete with all the tools needed to produce Broadway musicals, and a magnificent new Steinway grand piano. The Steinway provided a superior tool on which to train students to become accompanists for many yearly performances, which included Christmas, spring, and various Sunday concerts throughout my 35 years. Dave Martray has an extensive list of high school faculty music teachers who will support the refurbishing of the Steinway piano, as well as an exhaustive list of students who have become educated as music teachers and professional musicians. Conwell's music department has sponsored annual adjudication choral festivals, inviting music departments from all over Pennsylvania to bring their choirs and have this marvelous Steinway grand piano as the accompaniment tool. College music professors from Carnegie Mellon University, the University of Pittsburgh, Penn State University, Seton Hill University, and West Virginia University have been extremely impressed with the Steinway as the accompaniment tool when they were invited to adjudicate and perform at our festivals. We have sponsored the Pennsylvania Music Directors Association district, regional, and state annual choral festivals, as well as the American Choral Directors Association choral festivals. The Steinway grand piano has been a tremendous source of pride to provide the accompaniment for these prestigious events. Refurbishing the Steinway grand piano is a positive investment for the education of our music students, the perpetuation of exceptional music programs, and upholding the reputation of our music department. It is with pride that we acknowledge the number of students, faculty, and guest artists that have benefited from the availability of this program provided by the Conwell Area School District. Respectfully yours, Merle Stutzman, end quote. It's an honor for our district to own this piano, and I respectfully ask that you approve restoring it to its original beauty so that our students and community can enjoy it for many more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Julie Alcentrino, piano, safety.
I have a couple of things, but the
Dean
first one
students
was,
Also too, sorry.
no, that's okay, was, I just wanted to, and I don't know the history of the piano, so thank you for that information, that's great to hear. But I just wanted to ask, I didn't know if there has been, like, quotes put out for the restoration of this, if there was a process to that, if there's any, like, maybe somebody local that could restore that. I'm thinking as, you know, a classroom teacher, and I'm thankful for the arts, I'm glad that we have all of the programs that we do, but as a classroom teacher who has to beg and plead to get pencils, or, you know, give my social security number and a pint of blood for an envelope at the library, I can't do sometimes what I need to do in my classroom because we're short supplies, but we're gonna spend, and again, I don't know if there's other options or not for this. I don't know, I guess that's what I'm asking, if those things have been explored before there's a number put on that, because usually when things like this happen, there's a bid process, you know, there's things that are put out looking for bids or quotes or whatever it is, that before that kind of money is spent, I think that's usually the process, and I don't know if that took place or not. But I'm looking at it as a classroom teacher too, the tools that I need, I can't always get those, and it's a great thing for our community to have that, but I hope that there was due diligence done in looking out for the taxpayers and the amount of money that's gonna go out for something, if it could be taken care of closer to home for less money.
Mr. Wondet, Mr. Solicitor, on the bid process, we don't need it.
It was 2 minutes, we don't, we're just.
Oh, she,
we
oh,
move
she's
on.
not done.
Okay, sorry.
I thought you were asking a question. Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
No, we just move on, Dave, we don't.
Okay.
The other thing that I wanted to mention, I was going to speak about the Dean of Students, but I think I'll just let that go to maybe later. But this, you know, we've talked lately about some safety concerns just across the state and the country in general. And I know there was an issue last week at the middle school, which the district did assure us that it was not credible, which is great. However, you know, we've also talked about issues with our substitute teachers and people in our district who don't have access to the buildings, like, for example, long-term sub that doesn't have access to get back into a building because they can't swipe their badge. Or teachers inside of a building having keys to certain classrooms that they might need to get back into because of safety concerns and, you know, master keys getting lost and things like that. However, when I was walking into my building this morning, I was let in by an outside vendor who had a badge to the building. So I'm going to swipe my badge, and he says, no, I'll let you in. Now, this is an outside vendor who has access to our buildings, but we can't give access to our long-term professional employees or teachers inside of a building. So I appreciate all the time that we spend when we have liaison meetings about, you know, safety issues, but I think maybe it's time that we look at who has access to the buildings and who doesn't, and who needs to have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll have Sonny Benton. Well, of course, Sonny, you're on here twice, so he said you can only do one on agenda.
Who says that?
So it's, you
Mr.
can
Wood?
combine both of those. So it's both, I mean, you have 3 minutes.
As a taxpayer, I should have the right to speak on every single one of these items if I have something to say.
You have the ability during the 3 minutes to comment on any agenda items that you want, absolutely.
And can you refer me to where it says in the district policies that I am only entitled to speak for 3 minutes on an agenda item? I listed 2.
I don't know if that's in the specific district policy, that's been the.
I would appreciate if you would find that.
That's been the practice of the district in a lot of school districts and municipalities and governmental entities all across the state.
Again,
That's
I would prefer that the board provide me something in writing stating that as a taxpayer, I am only allowed to speak for 3 minutes. If I wanted to speak on every agenda item, I couldn't do that in 3 minutes.
3 minutes is recommended by the Office of Open Record, which was tasked with overseeing the application and enforcement of the Sunshine Act in
And the
Pennsylvania.
Sunshine Act doesn't state anything that like that.
No,
So I would prefer that
it
you actually
authorizes
provide
the
that.
district.
I will accommodate you today and speak on the 2 issues in 3 minutes if I can. But in the future, I would prefer that you be more transparent to the taxpayers and provide, if this type of exchange is going to take place, that you provide something in writing to back up what you're saying, okay? And with that said, I'll move on. I was talking, the box lights, going over some previous meetings, I had noticed that it had failed twice. And there was a director that abstained from that vote twice. I'm going to read some quotes from the PA Code, Chapter 11, 1105, Statement of Financial Interest. It's the Ethics Standards and Financial Disclosure. This is 1101C, Legislative Intent. It is the intent of the General Assembly that this chapter be administered by an independent commission composed by members who are cognizant of the responsibilities and burdens of the public officials and who have demonstrated an interest in promoting public confidence. 1105, Statement of Financial Interest. J, Voting Conflict. Public officials in the discharge of official duties required to vote on that would result in a conflict of interest shall abstain from voting prior to the vote being taken. Publicly announce that they are abstaining and disclose the nature of the interest as public record. That has never occurred with this school board. Yes, we have board members that abstain. They have never disclosed to the public the reason for their abstaining. What was the other thing that I had on there for agenda item?
You had, special education.
Special education. I'd like to bring it to the attention of the public.
There's one minute left.
Okay. At CAMS, if any parent or guardian in the Connellsville Area School District has a child that has been diagnosed with emotional problems and needs emotional support, at CAMS, the teacher for emotional support is not available to these students all 9 periods because she's too busy, and I'm speaking from personal experience, being a co-teacher for ELA and teaching spelling for life skills when there are 2 life skill teachers taking prep at the same time, which denies the ES kids access to the beautiful emotional support room that was designed to help them with their emotional problems. Emotional support is the largest population of special education. It's not going anywhere, it's only going to increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dan Alberts on the piano, please.
Thank you, folks. Please know that no one has asked or solicited my opinion, and I have no dog in the hunt, so to speak. I'm simply here because I happened to read the article in the Daily Courier a few weeks ago about the subject. I've decided solely on my own to appear tonight because I might be able to help present some factual clarification. A bit about my credentials. I'm a professional piano technician with over 45 years of experience. I graduated from Mount Aloysius College with a degree in piano technology. For the past 19 years, I've served as the Director of Piano Technology at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, IUP. IUP is a designated all-Steinway & Sons school with an inventory of over $5 million of Steinway & Sons pianos. I'm responsible for the care and maintenance of 105 Steinway & Sons pianos. During my career, I've trained at the Steinway & Sons factory in Astoria, New York. I'm a registered piano technician and 2-term past president of the Piano Technician Guild in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've also presented and served as an instructor for the Piano Technician Guild at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Conferences. I'm a graduate of the Connellsville Area School District, and we can all thank Mr. Merle Schiffman for guiding and directing me to this profession. Whether it's the Boston Symphony Orchestra at Symphony Hall, or the New York Philharmonic at Lincoln Center, or the National Symphony Orchestra at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, or the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra performing at Heinz Hall, one thing is for certain, they will be using a Steinway & Sons piano. You will never find any major venue owning anything but a Steinway & Sons piano. Why, might you ask? Because Steinway is the finest piano in the world, second to none. Whether Irving Berlin, George Hurwitz, Vladimir Horowitz, Emmanuel Wax, Van Cliburn, Arthur Rubinstein, Lang Lang, Billy Joel, or Harry Carner. One thing for certain is that all the elite and finest pianos demand a Steinway & Sons for their performance. Why, might you ask? Because it's the finest piano in the world, second to none. No other piano in the world has the speculative value as that of a Steinway & Sons piano. It's almost magical. But can everyone afford $100,000, $150,000, $250,000 piano? No, it's not reasonable. Steinway & Sons are aware of that fact. So in 1992, Steinway & Sons introduced the Boston piano line, designed by Steinway, but made and manufactured by Kawai USA, a Japanese piano company. By doing this, they now have expanded their market potential allowing their exclusive dealers to compete and have representation with a mid-level price range piano. And because Steinway & Sons is the finest piano in the world, those three words, designated by Steinway, or designed by Steinway, now attached to the Boston name, provided a tremendous amount of credibility and market influence to the newly launched Boston piano line. A genius move in marketing.
It's 3 minutes, Mr. Ellis.
It worked so well that they later introduced a third line to capture the entry-level market of Made in China. Connellsville Area School District is extremely fortunate to own a Steinway & Sons piano. The district owns a Steinway & Sons 7-foot Model D semi-concert grand. There's only one step above this model, and that's the crown and jewel, the 9-foot Steinway & Sons concert Model D that every fine artist demands. My recommendation, never get rid of this piano. It's a very valuable instrument that has the capability of being restored at least 3 times. It can be around for 150 to 200 years. It only goes up in value. You post a Steinway & Sons piano for sale, and it's an entirely different world. During my last training session at Steinway & Sons factory, there were over 350 Steinway pianos stored on their side in a warehouse that Steinway & Sons had recently
We're going to have
purchased.
to get you to wrap up, Mr. Ellis.
Yeah. Steinway is the finest piano in the world. You might ask why, because the Steinway pianos, people know they'll buy these pianos more than any other piano. You have dealers, technicians, rebuilders, the public, wholesalers. They would love to pick up this piano, and they would do exactly what you're considering to do because they know the substantial profit that they could make, or the wisdom and the sound investment that it is. This piano restored would be worth about 80% of what a new one would be. So totally restored, this piano would have a market value conservatively of about $115,000. So comparing the Boston's to
We're going to have to move on here.
comparing the Boston piano to a Steinway & Sons would be equivalent to comparing a Ferrari to a go-kart. So I thank you for your time, and I hope this information proves helpful, and best wishes and good luck with the decision that you make.
Thank you. Maybe with your knowledge, not to say anybody else, maybe if they get people to move with the piano, maybe you could be part of helping them out.
Anything I can do to help.
Thank you very much. That's all we have for agenda items. Moving to athletics, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Request approval of the following supplemental hires for the 24-25 spring season. Varsity softball assistant coach Joe Lloyd. Varsity assistant track coach Brian Anderson. Middle school softball assistant coach Allison Kelly. Middle school baseball head coach Joe Bonadia. Middle school co-head track coach Megan Berry. Nice.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the 25-26 golf supplemental contract for proposed.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Renzi. Mr. Martin. Thank you, that's all we have.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to buildings and grounds, Mr. Detweiler.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. I'd like to request approval of the following event and building usage requests. I just read items 1 through 12, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following addition to the substitute custodian list for 2024-2025 school year. Ron Prince, and I so move. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Kokenar, anything?
No, thank you.
Sangston?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kirk?
No, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Detweiler. Moving to the Carnegie Free Library, Mrs. Driscoll.
Thank you. I only want to say one big thing is at the meeting, I'm very impressed with the Carnegie Library's programs that they are offering for our children and adults. So if everybody would take an opportunity to go down, I think you'd find a lot of great things happening in our Carnegie Library. So, and I have nothing else. Mr. Marjorie?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all.
Moving to the Connellsville Area Career and Technical Center, Mr. Kokenar.
Thank you, Mr. Panadella. Request approval to dispose of through salvage or repurpose the following donated items no longer in use. Black 1998 Ford Explorer Sport, white 2004 Dodge Ram 2500, gold 1996 Ford Explorer from the Auto Mechanics Technical Program, and a 1977 Ford Ambulance from the Protective Service Program. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission for Tina Dahl, CACTC Skills USA Advisor, and Caitlin Ackerman to take 14 CACTC Skills USA members to the Skills USA Pennsylvania State Competition scheduled for April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2025 at Hershey Lodge in Hershey, PA. Approximately cost $10,526.42. To be paid by the district. This includes competition registration fees, lodging, dining, transportation, tolls, and substitute costs. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
13C, request permission for Tina Dahl, Workforce Development Coordinator, to take senior welding students to Westmoreland County Community College on Friday, March 21st, 2025 to complete the American Welding Society certification testing. We will leave the CTC at 7:45 a.m. and return at approximately 1 p.m. The CACTC van will be used for transportation. Testing fees will be paid by using Perkins funds. I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission for Tina Dahl, Skills USA Advisor, to arrange a community service project with Connellsville Shade Tree Commission during the month of April. The actual date will be determined once the Shade Tree Commission receives word on when the trees will be delivered. The project will include approximately 8 CACTC students along with Mrs. Dahl, who will assist in the planting of the trees around the Connellsville area. The CACTC van will be used for transportation, so there is no cost to the district. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request to approve the spring 2025 occupational advisory committee listed as attached. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission for Justin Ryan to attend the Skills USA PA State Competition on April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2025 as a Skills USA State Committee representative and judge for the heavy equipment competition to be held in Shippensburg, PA. All expenses will be paid by Construction Association of Pennsylvania, and I so move.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission for Nordic Shreve to accompany Nathan Cow, a DC welding student at the 2025 Skills USA PA State Welding Competition to be held on March 11th, 2025 at Pennsylvania College of Technology in Williamsport, PA. Approximate cost is $1,172 to be paid by the district Skills USA account. This includes lodging, registration, transportation, tolls, and substitute costs. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Panadella. Mr. Devon.
Nothing, sir.
Mrs. Langston.
Nothing taken.
Mr. McWilliams.
Nothing further, thanks.
That's all we have, Mr. Panadella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kokenar. Moving to curriculum, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the following professional employee travel in accordance with the district travel policy. Ashley Fritz to attend the California University Disability Summit on March 18th, 2025.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the addendum between Seton Hill University and Connellsville School District for college and high school dual credit for the 2024-2025 school year, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the agreement with Shippensburg University for 2024-2025 school year as proposed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And request approval of summer school proposal as attached, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Petlock.
Nothing additional, sir?
Mr. Renzi,
No, sir.
and Dr. Finch.
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Penzola, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. Moving to cyber, Mr. Martray.
Thank you, Mr. Penzo. Request approval of the 5-year cyber service agreement with Seneca Valley School District as proposed. I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Driscoll, you have anything else to add?
Nothing else, thank you.
Mr. Goes?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Martray. Moving to federal programs, Mr. Renzi.
I see nothing on the agenda. Dr. Coons?
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Penzo.
All right, sticking with you with finance, please, Mr. Renzi.
Request approval to accept the following donations. The Bible Club from Central Fellowship Church, $50. Francis and Mary Rolnick, $100. Ron and Roxanne Duke, $240. Central Fellowship Church, Mission Fund, $50. Wesley United Methodist Church, $75.01. Tom and Vicki Niswanger, $100. And Jason and Amy Riccio, $500. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for the 2025-2026 general operating budget for the intermediate Unit 1 in the amount of $549,522, which includes the Collinsville School District's contribution of $35,339.55, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the attached requisitions orders and to authorize District Business Office to process purchase orders and payments, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And request approval to change the broker of record for the errors and omissions, legal liability, property casualty, auto, law enforcement, professional, and excess liability insurances to MGI Risk Management, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Bidwell.
I have nothing, sir.
Mr. Okenauer. Nothing. And Mrs. Rapson.
Nothing,
That's all we have, Mr. Penzo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Moving to food service, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you. Requested conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks. Approval of the following additions to the substitute cafeteria list for the 24-25 school year. Shannon Katona and Bethany Reno. I so move.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Martray.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kokener.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr.
I just want to remind everybody, we do have Jack Booty's Feeding the School Kids Initiative still going on. It's from January 1st all the way to March 31st. This is the breakout where you can, again, participate at Martin's Food Store. It helps the middle school food pantry. Again, it's a great program that helps us out. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Penzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to personnel and review and liaison, Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Mr. Manzella. We have nothing under 19A, substitute additions. 19B, request the conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following additions to the support personnel substitute list for the 2024-2025 school year. We have Rose Helms and Shannon Cantona, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The following Family and Medical Leave Act leaves are confirmed by the board. Michelle Piper, aide, effective February 24, 2025, until on or about March 10, 2025. Robin Kennison, clerk, effective April 3, 2025, intermittently for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. Kathleen Sapola, teacher, effective March 4th, 2025, until on or about April 14th, 2025. Julie Michaels, teacher, effective February 26th, 2025, until on or about May 26th, 2025. And Dominic Virgilio, custodian, effective February 20th, 2025,
intermittently for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Melissa Mustafidi A to take a leave of absence effective February 3rd, 2025 until on or about March 31st, 2025, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Melissa O'Donnell A to take a leave of absence effective February 10th, 2025 until on or about March 31st, 2025, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
For 19F, we have a slight amendment to that. I'll read it. Request approval to appoint Cal Martin to the interim position of acting temporary dean of students for the middle school, and Laura Snyder to the temporary acting position of temporary dean of students at Dunbar Township and West Crawford Elementary Schools, effective March 3rd, 2025, and through the conclusion of the 2024-2025 school year, and to authorize payments of $50 per day stipend for such appointees in addition to their regular salaries upon acceptance by such appointees, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And one that isn't on there, request approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Connellsville Area School District and chauffeurs, teamsters, and helpers, local union 491, regarding the 2-hour delay, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. We can open that up for public comment.
Comment on that. So
Mr. Whittles, make a comment.
this is being added to the agenda. It falls under the exceptions for additions to the agenda, as it was something that was brought to the district's attention within 24 hours of the board meeting. It doesn't result in any expenditure funds, and it doesn't constitute a new contract with the district and anybody else. So this relates specifically to an existing collective bargaining agreement. It's no cost to the districts, and in some cases would actually result in cost savings to the district, which is why it can be added to the agenda. We do have to open it up to public comment beforehand.
Is there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, we already got a second, correct? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Any additional? Mr. Detwiler?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Martucci?
No, sir.
Mrs. Coconut?
Nothing else, thank you.
Dr. Coons?
I have nothing, thank you.
So we have Mr. Penzola.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Moving to policy and legislative, Mr. Martray.
Thank you, Mr. Penzo. The only thing we have is just for information only. Policy 610 and 611 were updated in accordance with the Consumer Price Index amounts set for 2025 in accordance with the applicable PA law. That's all I have. Mr. Driscoll, do you have anything else to add?
I have nothing, thank you.
Dr. Coons, do you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Martray. Moving to safety and security, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Penzola. We have no agenda items at this time. Ms. Driscoll?
I have nothing, thank you.
Ms. Langston?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Horvath?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Penzola. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. Moving to special education, Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you. Master teacher, request approval for a yearly subscription for master teacher online training for the special education support professionals at a cost of $3,465, subject to the Connellsville Area School District standard terms and conditions for the purchase of goods and services. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have. Mr. Markert?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, sticking with you, Mrs. Driscoll, for student services.
Okay. Travel in accordance with policy number 121, and I'd like to co-join all of these, number 1 through, number 31, together, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
23B, musical volunteers. Request approval of the following 2024-2025 CHS musical production staff volunteers as proposed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Student teacher placements. request approval to provide student-teacher placements for St. Vincent's College students as proposed, and I so move.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Piano restoration, and this is going to be an amended article. So we request approval to authorize the solicitation and application of grants and donations for the restoration of the Steinway piano, and to accept and approve the professional services agreement with Steinway and Sons Jr. for the restoration if a piano of the piano at a cost of $68,914 as proposed upon receipt and commitment of sufficient funding for such cost. And I so move.
Second.
The motion is second.
Any question? Just to answer some questions to everyone on this piano before we vote on it. Steinway Restoration Center, and I've been in contact with the gentleman up there. And just so that you know, when this piano is completed, if it passes, they're the only authorized Steinway rebuilder in the world. The assurance that your piano will have the proprietary Steinway soundboard, the lifeblood of the piano, replacement of parts with genuine Steinway parts, not simply repair, certificate of restoration and support, appraisal and investment. And it's backed by a 5-year Steinway warranty covering all Steinway restoration center service and work. And you know, when you break down the cost on this, it looks like a lot of money there, but like the gentleman said out here a while ago, that piano could last, the other one, right now, it's lasted 60 years. 60 years, that's a long time, a lot of use. So in talking with Steinway, you're going to get another 60 plus out of it. And you're only talking, when you break down that money right there, you're only talking around $1,148 a year. That's not much of an, that's a good investment for what we're getting here. And to answer your question back you had about the bids, we don't have to bid something like that because it's restored. Now, if we were buying a new one, he told me would cost around $145,000, same quality as this we have here. And he's told me on the phone that when this piano is completed, you're talking at least $120,000 that it'd be worth. So it's a good investment for the kids and for the longevity of the school district. And that's all I have for Mr.
Mr. Driscoll, my club week, I just talked to him, we'll donate the first 1,000 to the thing, my 20 club.
Wonderful, thank you. And we would, if I may, I would like to ask, we've had a lot of very knowledgeable people talk to me.
Should we vote on this first? We can do.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Mrs. Driscoll.
Okay. I would just like to ask all those who gave so much valuable information, if you'd like to help us in this venture to raise these funds, we would really appreciate it. And thank you very much, Mr. Detwald.
Just one more thing. I did talk to Mr. McCluskey in the Falcon Foundation, and they have a meeting tomorrow night, and he's going to see what he can bring to the table for us too. So we're going to hopefully we'll get some donations from there.
Sounds good.
Mr. Witt, I've got to ask you a question on this. We have to put down, and this is very time sensitive.
Well, I think we're done with that. You have to talk to him after that.
No, this is for everybody, so these guys will understand too, you, okay? This is very time sensitive. The price that we got on this piano.
I think we just voted to,
It passed.
yeah, I know, but we voted.
I know you
to raise
voted for it, but I just want to clear up anything, because there's been some questions about it, and I just want to clear it up. Okay, it won't take long. But, pretty long to go with that now, going off track.
Think how long the bid is going to take.
Oh, yeah, the time sensitive, it's going to take around 6 months, he said, to refurbish this piano. It's a long time. And so, if it's approved, it'll have to go out within the next 2 weeks. He said he can be here in 2 weeks to pick it up. Now, they have to come from Astoria, New York, is where they're coming from. I have, if any of the board members want it, I have their certificate for insurance, their carrier. And it's not costing us a dime to bring that piano up there and bring it back here and deliver it. It's not costing us a dime. So, just for your information, so you know what we're paying for. That's all I have.
But we have to raise the rate.
Anything else, Mrs. Driscoll?
Do we have to,
You have
pick
another
that up, Mr. Whitman? This is
23.
something you can answer. On his initial cost was $34,457. Do we have to include that in this some way?
Because
that would
Secretary,
have-
you're gonna have to listen to what we just approved, you'll have to talk to them after, I mean,
So to
We're
answer,
moving on.
yeah, to answer that question quickly, the motion as read and as approved by the board requires the board and the district to raise the funds with help of donations and grants before any money is expended by the district.
So that would be okay, then they'll be able to pick up and move forward then.
Well, after the funds are raised and there's enough donations and grants in order to get it. That
Well,
was
that's not gonna work.
specific for it.
Because I'm gonna tell you what, if we're gonna do this,
that's just what we voted on.
I know, but here's the thing, I thought you were gonna put in the amount of money that we have to front to get that piano picked up and move forward. If not, we're gonna lose that cost. We're gonna lose that cost.
Well, we're gonna have to talk to them and
So
see.
we have 6 months to pay for it.
Right.
We don't need to have 68,000 up front.
No,
Okay.
all we need is $34,457 to move it out the door.
So moving ahead with 23E,
23B, request approval of the following 24-25 CAHS musical production staff and volunteers as proposed, and I so move.
Second.
all those in favor, motion is second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Student teacher placements, request approval to provide student teacher placements for St. Vincent College students as proposed, and I so move. Oh, wait, we already did this. I apologize, everybody.
23E was,
20, I'm sorry. Can I go back to 23? The 24-25 musical production staff, request approval of the following addition to the 2024-2025 CAHS musical production staff for one performance. That's professional orchestra musician Steve Clark, and I so move.
Second.
motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And that's all I have. Thanks, would you have anything to add?
No.
Mr. Kokenauer?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, that's all we have.
Thank you, Mrs. Driscoll. Moving to technology, Mr. Detweiler.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request approval to purchase 12 on-site interactive displays from Precision Copy Products Incorporated at a cost of $8,800, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
No.
Opposed,
No?
roll call.
Mr. Renzi?
Yes.
Mr. Kokenauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Mr. Detweiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangston?
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry. I
Vote
don't have
to
a
approve
written
the
here,
bobsleds.
please.
24A.
Yeah, but fill in the blank here, I don't know if you filled it.
Oh,
Read it again, Joe.
The amount.
Which part? Or I just do the displays from Precision Copy Products Incorporated at a cost of $28,800.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Martre?
No.
Mr. Panzella?
Yes. Motion approved.
I would like to request approval to purchase 1,150 Lenovo Chromebooks from GovConnect at a cost of $315,600 as budgeted, pending contract 532-462004, and I so move.
Second.
Question? Mr. Ghost, last meeting we talked, for Monday, we talked about this. The funds for this is, when we do this, is it a unfunded mandate by the state? I know it's mandated that we have the Chromebooks for the testing. Is it unfunded? You know, where are we getting the money from? That's why I want to.
It's from our general fund
Just our
budget.
general fund.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you went back in time 20 years, we used to spend $1,000 on each computer, and we'd buy 200 at a time, and we flipped that. Now we spend $200 each, and we buy 1,000 at a time. So that's been in the general fund budget under new equipment for years. We just changed the paradigm.
So every 6 years, we're gonna end up spending at least or less than that, maybe $300 and some thousand to refresh all the time.
We spend this money every year
Yeah.
because it's on a 4-year refresh. So the device is assigned to incoming kindergarten students, 4th graders, and 8th graders. They keep that device for 4 years in those lower grades and 5 years from 8th to 12th.
Yeah, so I guess my biggest concern is, that this kind of money is gonna fall back on the taxpayers over the years, okay, as we go along. Because there's no funding, the state's mandating it, I thought at least they would throw some money our way to do it in the school districts. But I'd like to see our committee, I know John's the chairman, I'd like to see our committee sit down and see what other options are on these things. Maybe visit some other schools and ask them what they're doing. Because I've talked to them, a lot of them don't have box lights, they don't even use them because of the expense.
Chromebooks.
Yeah, Chromebooks, yeah, but I'm saying even the box lights, that's why, look for that. Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Second.
I don't know where we're at.
Say something. There we go, we got a second.
Yeah,
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor for the Chromebooks?
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Roll call.
Mr. Renzi,
Yes.
Mr. Martre,
No?
Mr. Detwiler,
Yes.
Mrs. Sangston,
Yes.
Mr. Kokenauer,
Yes.
Mrs. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Martucci,
Yes.
Mr. Panzella.
Yes. Motion passed.
Mr. Martre, anything additional? Mr. Ghost?
Nothing else, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Gonzalez, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Detwiler. Moving to transportation, Mr. Kokenauer.
Thank you, Mr. Pandela. Request approval of the following additions to the bus van drivers list. Not submitted.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Pandela. Mr. Martucci.
No, sir.
Mr. Renzi. Nothing, sir. That's all we have, Mr. Pandela. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kokenauer. We have nothing under the president's report. Before we go to public comment, Mr. Witt has something he'd like to say before we start with the non-agenda items of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to answer one, the question was asked about not bidding the piano out. Not required to bid that out because it's a professional service, so it's technical, specific expertise, so that wasn't required to be bid out, which is why that was accepted pending getting the donations and grants in order to fund that. The other question that the board was asked was pointing to a specific rule, about a 3-minute rule for public comment. We would note that board policy number 6 does provide for public comment meetings in accordance with law and board procedures and policies. Board policy number 903, which was adopted in 2006 and is publicly available on the district's website, provides that each participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration for public comment. Again, that is publicly available on the district's website. That was adopted in 2006, and that's the basis for the 3-minute rule that the board has consistently held in place for many years with respect to public comment. So just wanted to provide that in answer to the question that had been raised.
Thank you. So we move to public comment for non-agenda items. We had Sonny Bentley, conflict of interest.
Actually, I just want to address, just that. Mr. Witt, thank you very much. I looked it up on the Office of Open Records also, and it does state that the board can do, again, in accident situations, extend it. If you want to go by this particular explanation that you provided, it doesn't explain how I get to speak 3 minutes on an agenda item and then again 3 minutes on a non-agenda item. That kind of contradicts it. But real quickly, I just want to address something because I know you're doing this, the dean or whatever, and I'm speaking out of personal experience again at middle school that the children that are problematic, that go into PSR, the parents are not notified, parents or the guardians are not notified that these students are being put into PSR. And I know last year, there was one particular student that actually was in PSR over 25 times throughout the course of the year because his parents knew nothing about the previous times he was put in there. So, to me, that's a moot, punishment. That kid wants to get out of school, get out of the test or whatever, he gets himself thrown into PSR. Parents and guardians don't know about it. I would like to suggest that after 3 times that they are put into PSR, that first, the parents and guardians be informed that their child is being placed in PSR. And then after 3 offenses, that they be suspended and be committed, and I can't take credit for this is another taxpayer. She suggested that they be suspended and they have to do public service at the ministries. So they're not enjoying staying at home watching TV while mom and dad are at work and stuff. And then after 2 or 3 of those, then there should, the penalty should be maybe a fine or something. But PSR doesn't seem to work in the middle school, and I think the main reason is for lack of communication to the parents. I would like to see that happen, and maybe that could curtail some of the bullying, some of the fights, additional things like that. I do know that the middle school also has a bullying tracker. Being an ex-employee from that school, I was never advised as to what do they do with that information. I mean, it gets put on the tracker, all the staff get to see it, but if there's a repeat offender, what happens? And I would like to see some type of explanation on that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have for non-agenda items. Assistant to Superintendent.
I just want to remind everybody once again that kindergarten registration's next week. Information's on the district's website to begin the process. You also can call your respective building for more information.
That's it?
That's it.
Motion adjourned.
Minutes